Welcome to Bet On It Monday Night Football Edition. I am Kelly Stewart. Let's bring in Marco D'Angelo and Gianni Corrales, a.k.a. the Greek Gambler. Guys, I don't know how to say it. Saturday, one of the best days of the year. Sunday, one of the worst days of the year. And ended on a high note with my best bet of the Seattle Seahawks catching against Marco's Pittsburgh Steelers. Thank you, Marco, for reminding me that maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers are a little vulnerable. It was nice to be able to get you your win and me that cash. How was your weekend?
Well, Kelly, best bets on the show. I sucked, full disclosure, and Twitter let me know about it. But for my clients, it was another banner week. We went 6-2 over the weekend, 3-0 Sunday sweep yesterday. We're clicking this season. It's 4 straight winning weeks for my clients in football. And, knock on wood, let's just keep it rolling along. I got to get the best bet snide broken, that streak here on the show. I did break one of my losing streaks this week, though. I finally had a game that I beat the LA Chargers in. I was 0-5 for the season in games involving the Chargers this year, and a couple of them were best bets on the show, unfortunately. But we got there yesterday with Baltimore in a game that I just want to say, Kelly, there's always that great debate about the math guys and the analytics and what you're supposed to do, on 4th and 2s and 4th and 3s. All I got to say is if you watched the Charger Baltimore game yesterday, that is a case study for sometimes you've got to use common sense and not just the analytics. And that was a display of the analytics just blew right up in Coach Staley's face yesterday.
Sometimes the Chargers fans might miss Anthony Lynn. Other times they may not. Yesterday was maybe one of those times. VR, how was your weekend? I believe golf went 2-2, if I remember correctly. I got to double check that. Some of the other gold you gave on Monday went really well. And boy, were those NFL totals absolutely gold. So thank you for sharing those.
No problem. And yeah, I think they haven't been crushing even the golf where like year round, if you just piggyback their golf, you're going to crush it. Even if you take like 10, 20 cents later, they have that much of an edge. Here's what I'm going to say. And I know some that jumped on for a weekend, a month, or what have you may get pissed, but all I could do is be honest and tell you when I win and tell you when I lose. And like I tweeted this morning, I always check every Monday. And here's what I can tell you. Over the last 365 days, I'm number 1 in profit in the NFL. I'm number 1 in profit overall in all sports. Now, with all that said, I don't think I'm up over the last 30 days or over the last 7 days. And for me, I could live with that. I know that's part of my ride. Now, for someone that just jumps in for a day, a week, or a month, I feel like shit for them, but the only thing I can do is tell you the truth. And that's when in doubt, zoom out. And there's very few bettors on the planet that are profitable long-term. I wish I could win for you every week, but I can't do that. So instead, I do my best to place the best bets to turn a profit for the masses over the span of a year. And I've been able to do that every single year at WagerTalk. With all that said, here's what I've decided. I think I'm going to slow it down. And even this week, that's why remind me at the end when we give our play on this afterwards, I have a bunch of gold to already give out. Like so far this week, the only thing I gave out, I think I gave out one college football premium for this Saturday and NBA play already. But they bet NBA, they bet college football already, they bet some NFL. But I'm going to narrow it down even more because I've realized that the 99% just can't handle volume. And the 1% that can, I'm dealing with them on a one-to-one basis now. We're betting partners, and I have accounts with most of those guys. So I want to try to benefit the most people as possible. And I think to do that, I need to narrow it down more. So I'll pass along a lot of information. You're going to have to narrow that shit down on your own, because I'm going to save the very best premiums, and that's all we're going to fire for these final 10 weeks of this season. And if it goes well, we'll continue it throughout the new year. If you want the volume back, just let me know. But we're really going to try to zero in on the smaller cards and see if that satisfies more bettors. Because again, if I'm doing it for myself and I'm turning profit every year and no one else is doing it next to me, what's the point? I don't want to waste my time. If I could give you one game a day and you'll be happier with it, fine, I'll give you one game a day. I don't have to give you 15. I'm betting 30 because I've done this long enough to know my edge is this small. I bet real small in relation to my bankroll, and I don't care. I know long-term what's going to happen. It's kind of like when you back the right stock or the right crypto. Yeah, over the last 24 hours, Solano's down 2%. Over the last 30 days, Solano's down 4%. But over the last 90 days, Solano's up 559%. And over the last year, Solano's up 6,000%. So should I be pissed at them that I lost 2% the last 24 hours or that I'm down 5% the last 30 days? Probably not. So again, not to go on a rant, but my goal is to win long term for you guys, and I'm going to try to help most people I can do that, and we'll narrow it down for you to help that happen faster. The learning curve, I think, is too difficult for most. Just being honest.
Listen, I'm with you, VR, because I try to do the same thing for myself personally. Look, if you're betting nickels, dimes, $1,500, whatever your bankroll is, needs to actually be somewhere between 1% and 5%, right? And you guys can do the math on that. I'm betting more than 1% to 5% on a game. The question is, where do you break it down and actually say, okay, Seattle is my best bet. I'm not going to add more to it than X, Y, and Z. And that's something that I think here on Bet On It, we want to teach you guys. We want to teach you guys to be better bettors. We want to teach you guys to take better numbers. And that is ultimately our goal. I've learned from these two guys since I've been at WagerTalk. VR is from even prior to that. And I think that, as VR says, that education's basically invaluable. I paid off my student loans this summer. And let me tell you, I've learned more living in Vegas with some of these really sharp guys than I ever learned in college. So on to Monday Night Football. Got the WagerTalk on screen open. The current line is, we've got a few discrepancies here. Looks like 6 pretty much, but there are some 6.5 starting to pop up at South Point. It looks like is the only one. There was a 6.5 at DraftKings there and at Caesars, but both of those look to be gone at the moment. So total 53.5. VR, I'm actually going to kick it back to you because my first question is something that I think is important and goes back to the education standpoint. Okay, on the other day, I said, hey, I like the Titans plus 5.5 early on. I thought we'd see this line move to 5. This line is now moving to 6 and 6.5. Bottom line is, guys, you like the Bills, you need to bet it at 5.5. What are you waiting for? Same thing with the Pats-Cowboys game. You saw that line was coming down. You should have waited to bet Pats -3. Whether you bet 4.5 or 3, both did cash, but want to talk about making better bets here long term. VR, can you explain the difference between 5.5 and 6 to our audience?
And quickly, that's the exact perfect example of why none of my subscribers got a Sunday night play last night. Because sure, if you got down on the Pittsburgh side, which was the side I liked, before the line moved that significantly, or even to pass that key point of 3, most of the value is definitely gone. You guys did the right thing then by taking the other side. But once it kept moving, you have to back off. In this spot right now, if you're betting the Buffalo side, you need them to win by a touchdown to cash that ticket. That's a huge difference compared to guys that got down at 5 or 5.5. Now, I know what you're thinking. If it covers the 5 or 5.5, most likely it's going to cover the 6 or cover the 6.5, and they'll win by a touchdown. Listen, probably we know that 8 out of 10 times in the NFL, the spread don't matter. But it's those 2 times that it does that makes all the difference. And I think that's what casual bettors don't understand, that your edge is really this small, that the real guys that actually are profitable sports bettors, the guys that win long term, the betting syndicates, even the ones that move the lines, they don't win at the high percentage that you think they do. See, we've done a bad job in the industry of misleading bettors into thinking you're going to be able to win 6 out of 10 bets long term. You ain't doing that. There's no chance. None at all. I'm telling you that right now. If you're laying 110 on spread sports, you're not doing it. You're doing it over 10 games, over 50 games, maybe over 100 games. But over 500 to 1,000, you're not doing it. That's just the math. It's not me. Like, don't get mad at me when I tell you these things. It's kind of like me arguing with Jacksonville yesterday. Listen, I took them at plus 3.5. And when I put that tweet out about me saying that's a plus EV bet, if you look at the time, Jacksonville was losing. I was okay with that. I don't mind looking like a fool because I know when I'm placing a good bet. Like, I don't care if I lost that bet. I know in my heart that I placed a decent bet. And I hope that any of my subscribers or anyone, a future potential subscriber, is sharp enough to see that. If they're not, I don't want them to subscribe because they're going to go broke. Like, I can't help those people. Like, there's a mathematical certainty they're going to lose money. No one's going to hit a high enough percentage long enough for them to be profitable. So when you start taking bad numbers, you're going down that road of not having a chance to be profitable. When you're buying points on numbers that don't matter, you're walking down the road of not being profitable. When you're betting non-wong teasers, sure, you may be cashing them, but can you show me the math that proves to me they're plus EV? No, but I can with the Wong. And what did the Wong do this week? It went 3-0 based on the closing line. There was only 3 plays that were Wongable, and all 3 based on the closing number got there. Now, I'm not saying it's 100%, it's going to continue, but it's just math. It's not like, don't be pissed at me if they're not, it's not the facts you want to hear. Like, you got to start to change your mindset and your reality, because that's the reality of sports betting. You ain't hitting 60, 65%. You're not doing it. So if you can't make a living off 55, 57%, you're going to have to reevaluate your career goals. For me, I wanted to make a living betting sports. So I realized the edge is small. So I have to bet real small of my bankroll. I know I have to have 1,000 units to have a 1% risk of ruin. I know the math behind it. Anyway, back to Buffalo, Tennessee. Here's what I can tell you. Let me give the pick and get it over with. I bet this game. I released this game to subscribers at Buffalo -5, even 5.5. I think I was okay with. At 6, I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think I would make it. No, I'd still bet it, but would I make it the big play that I did? I'm not sure. I don't have to figure that out now, so who cares? With all that said, and here's the bottom line. Here's why. All my life betting sports, I would not be betting Buffalo because I would think this team's so overvalued. Not only have they scored 30-plus points 4 straight weeks, they've covered the spread all 4 of those weeks. They've outperformed the betting market by 14 or more points 4 straight weeks. So I know with certainty a team like that's going to be overvalued. Here's the problem, that there are outliers in every market, and we've seen it, that outperform the betting market, meaning it doesn't get there quick enough. We saw it with the Patriots, and we're not going to have to rehash that. We talked about it for decades. But there's teams, players, fighters that have outperformed the betting market. And Buffalo looks like that regular season team that's going to continue to do that. Here's why it sets up nicely. I believe they have a bye next week. Ralph let us know those teams going into the bye do better than those teams off the rest coming out of the bye. That's a plus for Buffalo. Then look at the metrics. Buffalo, offense and defense, yards per play. Number 12 offensively, number 1 defensively, okay? For Tennessee, they're number 22 offensively, number 27 defensively. So yards per play, it looks terrible for the Tennessee side. Then look at points per game. You need points to score. Buffalo, number 1 offensively, number 1 defensively. Tennessee, number 10th offensively. That's impressive. 24th defensively. So you're the 24th scoring D going up against the number 1 scoring D. I know it sounds square, but that's so obvious. That's why I had to bet the Buffalo side immediately at -5. Now, some will argue Buffalo had an easy schedule so far. They've had the 30th toughest strength of schedule. I get it. Guess what Tennessee's had? The 28th toughest strength of schedule. So they've had a very easy strength of schedule. The only difference is Buffalo's outperforming the betting market, and Tennessee, at least statistically, the metrics show us they haven't, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm on Buffalo. I can also tell you the betting syndicates bet the over. That's sharp money because one bet me over 52.5, one bet me over 53. Different groups. I know they're not edging off. Again, that's not one I released to subscribers because I didn't feel strong. Again, I'm going to narrow the card to the strongest stuff, like we said, but wanted to share that nugget with you, the over as well. I don't want to take up no more time. Let Marco give his play. And if you want, I have some hockey, some NFL, and some college football for you guys as well.
Marco D'Angelo, I am in a glass case of emotions here. I am down 53 points to Johnny Detroit in fantasy football. And I have Derrick Henry going against the number 3 rushing defense tonight. Do I have a shot? No, we know I don't have a shot here. But the Tennessee Titans, and that is for a few things of what VR did say. That is, I think that Buffalo looked really good last Sunday night. I think they might be a little overvalued here in the spot, but I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm not that high on this Tennessee Titans team. I said they'd be lucky to win 8 games. Help me figure out what I should be doing tonight. Do I buy off? Well, it's a little too late. I guess I cannot buy off. Do I play off of my Tennessee spot? I have the lovely number of 5.5. I thought this one would go to 5, not 6, let alone 6.5.
All right, a couple things, Kelly, and I hope I remember them all. As VR was talking and things were popping in my head, but I'm old. I got short-term memory. I don't know if I can remember them all when VR goes on the rant there, my buddy, but it's all good. The first thing I'm going to get, VR, you just created a new saying in your rant there, and we got to get shirts made. It's wongable. That's when I started laughing off air when you said it's wongable. I love that one. We need to get that, fat and sassy, and sprinkle all those trademarks. But I'm going to say another thing when Kelly's first question to you about the line and the movement and things. I want to just give a quick little for the public. They're sitting there, and I'm sure they're thinking, and Kelly, like you said, you thought the line was going to go to 5, and instead it went the other direction. And that's the biggest question for people that don't do this for a living. How do I know? How do I read the market to try to get in front of the line move? How do I figure out which way it's going to go? And that's something VR's been doing it for decades. I've been doing it for 4 decades. You're constantly learning. But one thing, if you want to have something that's simple and it's not 100%, but I will tell you, and I'm sure VR will agree with me, this angle will be right more often than it's wrong. If you like the favorite in the game, bet the game early in the week, okay? Because the public will get involved later in the week. And we know the public bets favorites and the public bets overs. If you like the under, you want to bet that early in the week. And why is that? Okay, why aren't the public betting the numbers at the beginning of the week? Because most people that wager, and you hear VR talk all the time about that 1% that wins, okay? The majority of people that bet don't win. We do know that. They also don't bet until game day. That's one of the reasons they don't win. And the reason for that is bankroll, okay? Here in Vegas, unless you're betting with a credit shop, and I advise anybody that's new to betting, do not bet with a credit shop. That's how you're going to get yourself in big trouble if you don't have self-control, because you're going to play more than, because you always think, oh, I can't go 0-10. Okay. I'm going to win 6 out of 10 or whatever. When you're betting with, you got to put the money up front. People don't have the bankroll to tie their money up on Monday for Saturday and Sunday games. They have to wait to the end of the week. Why? Because they want to bet all week long. There's games every day. And if they tie their money up on Monday and Tuesday, they're done for the week and they can't play. They might get the best number, but then they're out of action all week. So that's why the public bets at the end of the week, and they're going to bet favorites and they're going to bet overs. That's how to decide when you should bet. If you like an under, bet it late in the week because the public's going to drive it up for you. But if you like the over, get out in front of it early in the week because the public's going to follow on game day. And you're going to see that tonight. You're going to see the over get bet. You're going to see Buffalo get bet. Now, why is Buffalo getting bet? Because the public bets with what they see. And what did they see? They saw last week Buffalo go into Kansas City and absolutely dismantle them. And that was one of the rare occasions last week. You hear us talk about pros and Joes. Well, the pros and the Joes were on Buffalo last week for the most part. They were a popular underdog. Popular underdogs generally don't get there. But because Kansas City was playing so bad defensively this year and the revenge factor that everybody talked about, which was true because it was a playoff revenge game. People were betting Buffalo, so they were rewarded. People remember recency bias. So they cashed last week with Buffalo. Now Buffalo's a favorite tonight. You've heard, if you watched Twitter yesterday, every bookmaker in the Vegas was on there crying how much they got beat up yesterday. Why? Because the favorites dominated yesterday. So all those Joes got extra money in their pocket. And extra money means extra confidence. They're going to bet Buffalo tonight. Uh, VR broke down the stats on the game, and I agree with everything he said on the stats except one. And I talked about this morning on WagerTalk today. The offensive numbers. There's a big discrepancy between Buffalo and Tennessee on yards per play. The reason there's such a big discrepancy on Tennessee in yards per play is because they're old school. They run the football more than any other team in the NFL because they have Derrick Henry. And that's going to skew their yards per play because the majority of their plays are running plays, not passing plays. So I'm not concerned that they're so far down on the ladder on yards per play. And as far as Buffalo goes, they haven't faced a dynamic offense this year except Kansas City last week. And Kansas City shot themselves in the foot with 4 turnovers in that game. There was only a 40-yard edge in total yards in that game, but Kansas City gave Buffalo 4 extra possessions. The other teams that that Buffalo defense faced this year, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I told you how bad their offense is this year because of the offensive line. Miami's in total disarray. Washington, we saw yesterday, even Kansas City slowed that offense down with Heineke. Houston, Mills, come on at quarterback. You can't even be serious. And then they faced Kansas City last week. Tennessee is the most dynamic next to Kansas City offense they faced. I think this line's too high tonight. I like the home dog here. Did I get to the window for my clients? I have not released the play on the game. Most likely they're just getting an opinion on Tennessee for the game, but I can't lay the points with Buffalo in this one. For me, I'm going Tennessee here on the show.
All right, Tennessee Titans for Marco and I. Bills -5, 5.5. Sorry, VR, I can't remember which number you said you got. For VR, I'm terrified. It's been one of those weeks now. I'm super gun shy. I'm like nervous. Marco mentioned the public. They're just like, hey, I've got all this extra money in my pocket. And I'm like, oh, Sunday kind of decimated my NFL bankroll. Luckily for me, college football has been carrying me right along. VR, I'm going to let you finish the show because I know you have some gold for us.
Yeah, and out of all of this, I only released one play to the subscribers. So use it how you wish. I take percentage of all these accounts, so I trust their plus EV, or I wouldn't. 275 over 52.5, 53. You know, Buffalo, Tennessee, they took that. Brazilian soccer tonight. The team's called CRB. Again, if you can find this Series A, CRB, they were plus 200 on the money line. That's what we bet. And then here's some hockey. 3 hockey totals. Game 31, over 6.5. Over 6, minus 110. Rangers, Toronto, game 37, under 5.5. St. Louis, Arizona, plus 105. In game 35, under 5.5, minus 110. Anaheim, Calgary. The Rangers over and the Anaheim under are the 2 that I came close to releasing, but nope, got to stay more disciplined. And then in college football, they bet 405 San Diego State plus 4, 409 Nevada plus 4, 313 UL Lafayette minus 16.5, 387 Tennessee plus 25. And I'll tell you, tomorrow I bet Brooklyn already. That's an NBA. You can have that. And that's it. But out of all those football and stuff, I only one released to subscribers because, again, I'm going to try to narrow it down for you guys. But I'll share as much gold as possible. Kelly's got to think of an idea because I got this stuff every day. So somehow I can just share it with you guys so you could use it. So don't go to waste. We'll figure something out. If you guys want it, that is.
I definitely like that idea. Love more information. And that is what we provide for you guys here on Bet On It. For myself, Marco in VR, have a great Monday. We'll see you guys back here on Wednesday for Bet On It.
Thousands of you enjoyed the NHL opening week $9 special, so it's only fair that we offer the NBA fans the same deal. Every NBA daily package for the opening week through Monday, October 25th is just $9. That's right, you will not be paying $25 for a package, nor will you be paying $35 for 5% best bets for the opening week of the NBA, as all daily basketball packages are only $9. Make sure to tune in every Monday through Friday for the NBA tip-off show on WagerTalk TV, and then save and start the NBA season with a slam dunk deal.